In 2015, I was on Fiverr doing 13K a month building websites. I had a long wait list of clients, more work than I can handle, and I was completely stuck. I couldn't take on more clients. I didn't know how to hire. I didn't know how to scale. The problem was me. I was still thinking like a freelancer, and that mindset destroyed my multi-million-dollar business. Most freelancers never become agency owners, not because of their skills, not because of their talent, but because of their identity. If you don't make the shift, you'll burn out, you'll plateau, and watch everyone else scale while you're stuck at 10K to 20K a month, wondering what you're doing wrong. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly the mental shift that took me from rock bottom moments to building my current agency that's doing 7 figures a month. I'm going to break down the identity shift no one talks about, the internal battles that almost broke me, and the 3-step framework I now use with every agency owner I mentor. So let's start here. What even is the freelancer mindset? Because most people don't realize they're stuck in it until it's too late. When I started freelancing, I was making decent money, like 13, 15K a month. Not bad, right? But I was doing everything myself. I was building the websites, I was talking to the clients, I was doing all the project management, the invoicing, the follow-ups, everything. And I told myself, I'm just being scrappy. I'm bootstrapping. This is what you're supposed to do. But that's not scrappy. That's freelancer thinking trapped in an agency's body. So here's what the freelancer mindset actually looks like. And I want you to be honest with yourself as you go through this list. You're trading time for money. You think in hours and not in leverage. You're short-term focused. You take every client because you need the cash flow this month. You say yes to everything because you're terrified of losing a deal. You do the fulfillment because you think no one else can do it as well as you can. You make emotional decisions instead of strategic ones. You undercharge because you don't see yourself as a business. You see yourself as a service provider. You have no systems. Everything lives in your head. And you're terrified of hiring because what if they mess it up? What if they leave? What if I can't afford them? And here's the worst one. The sentence that kept me stuck for years. I'll just do it myself. It's faster. That sentence right there, that's the freelancer trap. Because yeah, it is faster if you do it yourself. Today, this week, this month. But when you do that, you don't build capacity. You don't build a team. You don't build a business. You're building a very stressful job. And that job caps you at 10K, maybe 20K a month because there's only so many hours in a day. There's only so much you can do. Let me give you a real example. I was working with a guy, let's call him Sam. He runs a lead gen agency and he was stuck at 15K a month for 18 months. He just couldn't break through. We got on a call and in 10 minutes, I knew exactly what the problem was. He was still doing all the cold email setup himself. He was still writing all the sequences. He was still managing all the clients. And so I asked him, Sam, how many hours a week are you working? He said, probably 70 or 80. I said, how much are you paying yourself per hour? We did the math and it was about $50 an hour. This guy had 8 years of experience and he was making less per hour than a mid-level employee at his old corporate job. And here's the thing. This is what I told Sam. It isn't your fault. You weren't taught how to think like a CEO. You were taught how to deliver great work. And that's the problem. So if the freelancer mindset caps you at 10 to 20K, what does it look like on the other side? Let me show you. The agency owner mindset. All right. So if the freelancer mindset is the problem, what's the solution? This is the shift that took me from $400 in my bank account to building multiple 7-figure agencies. Here's what changes when you think like a real agency owner. You stop thinking in hours and start thinking in systems. You stop being the doer and start being the leader. You hire early even when it's uncomfortable. You see delegation as a skill and not a weakness. You build capacity instead of filling your calendar. You create intellectual property, frameworks, SOPs, processes that live outside of you. You document everything so your business can run without you. You build predictable acquisition so you're not scrambling for clients every month. You protect your time like it's the most valuable asset you have, because it is. And here's the big one. You operate like a CEO and not a worker. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. So remember Sam, the guy that was stuck at 15K a month working 80 hours a week? Here's what we did. First, we audited everything he was doing. We made a list of every single task. Then we asked, what are the $10 an hour tasks? What are the $100 an hour tasks? And what are the $1,000 an hour tasks? Turns out, Sam was spending 60% of his time on $10 an hour tasks. Cold email setup, CRM management, list building. So we hired a VA overseas for $8 an hour to do all of that. Then we built an SOP for client onboarding so he didn't have to be on every single call. And finally, we documented his cold email framework so his VA could replicate it. Within 90 days, Sam went from 15K a month to 48K a month. He hired 3 people. He only works 4 hours a day now, and he's actually paying himself what he's worth. That's the power of the shift. But here's where it gets hard, because knowing this intellectually is one thing, but actually doing it, that's where most people fail. So let's talk about the transition moment, the internal battle that almost broke me. Okay, so you need to shift your identity. You need to think like a CEO. And here's what nobody tells you. That transition is brutal, because it's not just about learning a new skill, it's about letting go of your old identity. And that's terrifying. At some point, my first agency was failing. When we hit that $0 moment, I had to confront something that I'd been avoiding for years. I was the bottleneck. I had built a company where everything ran through me. Every decision, every client call, every hire. And when things started breaking, I couldn't fix it fast enough because I was still trying to do everything myself. So let me walk you through the internal battles you're going to face. Because if you don't prepare for these, they might destroy you. Battle number 1, losing control. When you hire someone, you lose some control. They're not going to do it exactly the way you do it. And that's going to drive you insane at first. I remember hiring my first developer. I gave him a project. He came back with something that was about 80% of what I would have done. And I almost fired him on the spot. But then I realized 80% done by someone else is better than 100% done by me. Because if I do it, I can only do 1. If he does it, I can do 10. Battle number 2, letting go of perfection. You're going to have to accept that things won't be perfect. Your team will make mistakes. Clients will complain. Things will break. But that's the cost of scale. You can have perfection or you can have growth. You can't have both. Battle number 3, trusting your team. This is the hardest one. Because when you're a freelancer, you are the business. But when you're an agency owner, you have to trust other people to represent your brand. And that's scary. But here's the truth. If you can't trust your team, you hired the wrong people. Battle number 4, making your first hire. This is the moment that separates freelancers from agency owners. Because hiring is expensive. It's risky and it's uncomfortable. But if you don't hire, you don't scale, period. I remember making my first hire. I was terrified. I had maybe $5,000 in the bank and I was about to commit to paying someone $2,000 a month. And I did it anyways. And that hire unlocked the next $50K in revenue. Battle 5, firing your first hire. And then inevitably you're going to hire the wrong person and you're going to have to fire them. I had an employee steal clients from me and start their own agency. I trusted him. I trained him. I gave him everything and he stabbed me in the back. That almost broke me. Not because of the money, but because I felt like I was an idiot for trusting him. And here's what I learned. You can't let one bad hire stop you from building a team. Battle 6, choosing courage over comfort. Every single day, you're going to have to make a choice. Do the comfortable thing or do the thing that grows the business. The freelancer will usually choose comfort. The agency owner chooses courage. So how do you actually make this shift? How do you go from freelancer to CEO without losing your mind? Let me give you the framework. All right, so here's the framework I use with every agency owner I mentor. This is how you make the shift from freelancer to CEO without burning everything down. Step 1, audit your identity. First, you need to get brutally honest with yourself. What are you still doing that keeps you in freelancer mode? I want you to do this right now. Pause the video if you need to. Make a list of every single task you did this week. And then ask yourself, is this a $10 an hour task? Is this a $100 an hour task? Or is this a $1,000 an hour task? If you're spending more than 20% of your time on $10 tasks, you're still in freelancer mode because you can't change what you don't acknowledge. Step 2 is redefine your role. Next, you need to redefine what your role actually is. As a CEO, your job is not to do the work. Your job is to set the vision of where the company is going. Build a team that can execute on that vision. Create the systems that allow the business to run without you. Manage the cash flow so you don't run out of money. Acquire clients at a predictable, scalable rate. That's it. Everything else, delegate it. And I know what you're thinking, but Damiano, I can't afford to hire yet. Here's the truth that you don't want to hear. You can't afford not to hire because every hour you spend on $10 an hour tasks is an hour you're not spending on $1,000 an hour tasks. You're losing money by not hiring. Step 3, build leverage. Finally, you need to build leverage. And leverage comes from 3 things. Number 1 is systems. Document your processes, build SOPs, create frameworks. I have a client who runs a social media agency. She was stuck at $20K a month because every client onboarding was different. We spent 2 weeks building an onboarding SOP. Now her team can onboard clients without her. She went from $20K to $65K in 3 months. 2 is your people. Hire early, delegate often, trust your team. The best hire I ever made at my first agency was a project manager when I was only doing $15K a month. Everyone told me I was crazy. You can't afford that yet. But that hire unlocked the next $200K in revenue because I didn't have to take care of the clients anymore. anymore and I was focused on sales. Number 3 is your processes. Automate everything you can. Use tools, use software, use AI. At my current agency, we use AI to write the first draft of client briefs. We set up automations that handle follow-ups. We use project management software to track everything. And all of that frees up our team's time to do the high-value work. Now, I know what you're thinking. Damiano, this sounds great, but what if I fail? What if I hire the wrong person? What if I run out of money? Let me tell you something that changed my life. So let's talk about what happens if you don't make the shift, because I see this all the time. You stay stuck at 10K to 20K a month. You work 60, 70, 80 hours a week, you burn out. You resent your clients, you resent your business, and eventually you resent yourself. One of two things happens. You either quit, or worst, you keep going, but you're miserable. I had a call last month with an agency owner. Let's call him Mike. Mike's been running an agency for 6 years. He's stuck at 18K a month. He works 75 hours a week. He told me, Damiano, I don't even like doing this anymore. I feel like I built a prison for myself. And I asked him, so why don't you change it? He said, because I don't know how. That broke my heart, because the reality is that Mike is talented. He's smart. He's hardworking, but he's still stuck in that freelancer mindset. And here's the thing, the market doesn't care. Because while Mike is stuck doing everything himself, there are other agencies out there that are operating like real companies. They're hiring, they're scaling, they're taking his clients. And he's left wondering, why can't I break through? The answer is simple. He's still thinking like a freelancer. But here's the good news. You can change this right now, today. Let me show you how. Look, I'm going to be real with you. This shift, it's not about tactics. It's not about learning a new skill or implementing a new system. It's about who you have to become. Because the version of you that got you to 10K a month, that version can't get you to 50, 100, or 500K a month. You have to evolve. You have to let go of your old identity. You have to step into a new one. And that's going to make you uncomfortable. It's scary, it's hard, but it's needed. When I was at this point, I had to ask myself the hard question. Am I willing to become someone new? Because I could have gone back to freelancing. I could have gotten a job. I could have played it safe, but I didn't. I chose to evolve. And that decision changed everything for me. You can't scale your old self. So the question is, are you willing to let it go? Are you willing to become someone new? Because if you are, everything changes. Look, the reality is business is a never-ending exercise in problem solving. But more importantly, it's a self-development challenge. So as you go through this journey, you are going to have to change as a person. This might be the first shift that you need to make. But there are going to be lots of other shifts that are going to come after this. And you have to realize that this training that you're doing right now, this is going to set you free at some point. And so is it worth it to become a new person through business? Is it worth it to self-develop through this self-development exercise that you're going through? Yes, it is. And that's why you're here. All right, so if you're still watching, I know you're serious about this. I know you're not just curious. You're ready. And here's what I want you to do. I work one-on-one with agency owners. I only take about 6 agencies every 4 months. Right now, I have a couple of spots left. The idea is that we meet every week for an hour. We audit your business, we build your systems, we hire the team, we scale the revenue. And I don't just give you advice, I give you the exact frameworks, the exact SOPs, the exact playbooks I've used to build multiple 7-figure agencies. My clients average 3 to 4x revenue growth within just 4 months. Some of them go from 15K to 60K, and some of them go from 30K to 120K. It depends on where you start, but the shift is the same. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. It's not easy. That's why it's better to do it with a mentor. If you're stuck at 10K or 20K a month and you're ready to hit 50, 100 or more, and you're willing to do the work, click the link below and book a call with me. On the call, we're going to map out your exact path. I'm going to show you where you're stuck and what needs to change. And if it's a fit, we'll work together. And if it's not, I'll tell you. But if you don't book the call, nothing changes. You'll be stuck at 10 to 20K a month. You'll still be working 70 to 80 hour weeks. You'll still be wondering, why is everyone scaling, but not me? So click the link, book the call. Let's see if we're a good fit. And if you're not ready for that yet, that's cool too. I've got tons of free resources in the description. Case studies, frameworks, newsletters, and more. All of it is there. But either way, make the shift. Because the world needs more agency owners and fewer freelancers. Let's go build something. I'll see you on the next one.